So this will be a great informational video on blueprints for Dune Awakening, but there's going to be Hogwarts Legacy music in the background because we're streaming right now, and I wanted to show this video for JK. So this is blueprints in action in Dune Awakening. So this is from Livestream 4. This is the Deep Desert section of the video. For those of you who haven't yet seen it, I've got in my Dune Awakening playlist, for those who will be watching this later on when I clip this out on YouTube, there's a playlist down below, and I broke Livestream 4 into like 6 different sections, so you can go watch those sections individually if you haven't already done so. But this is part of the Deep Desert section of the Livestream number 4 from last week. So what you're seeing in front of you here is a, let's see if my internet is going to poop out this morning or not, but I'm in 2K now. So this is an in the middle of construction building that a guild is putting together on the shield wall in the deep desert. So he's flying around. You'll notice that there are blocks being filled in. There's multiple players running around. So when you place a blueprint down, all the green structures are there. All the green squares are already there. That's part of the blueprint, and you'll see this player is filling in the green squares. And then if you watch, as we watch this video, see that other player over there on the stairs? There are other players running around and filling in the green squares at the same time. So the objective with the blueprints is that, like, look at all the places. And this guy is standing outside watching it being built from a distance, so you can see the squares being filled up top and everything else. So the blueprint system, once you make a blueprint of something, you get an object. I forget what the object is called right now, but you get an object with a blueprint saved inside of it, and then you take that item and you deploy it on the landmass. There is some tweaking of that to get it just right for wherever you're going to build it. You might have to raise it and lower it just to make sure that it fits in with the environment. But once the blueprint has been placed, everyone who has access to the permissions for said blueprint, like you see this guy's filling in railings, somebody else is going to go up top and fill in more railings. So everyone can contribute to a blueprint once a blueprint has been set. But you do have to have the materials in your inventory when you first get going, unless, and I don't know how they have this set up for their particular guild, but one option would be to very quickly throw the blueprint up and make sure that you've got storage chests placed as soon as possible with all of the crafting materials in the storage chests, so that the players who are crafting all have access to the storage chest. Because the way this works is that any storage chests within the land claim automatically siphon out materials to anything being built. But that's going to require the coordination of a guild to make this work effectively. And you can see that's what's happening here in real time. Is they have a bunch of players working together to build this structure as quickly as possible. So this is the weekly. This is why I tell people, like, anybody who claims that, oh, the people who rush to the end game are going to have an advantage over everybody else. No, they're not. Because every single week, all the bases get wiped from the deep desert, and every single week the guilds have to go through the exact same thing to get up and running again. The first thing they have to do is get to the PvE portion of the deep desert. They have to then build their base, which means they need enough resources on hand to get their forward operating station built. Once they've got their forward operating station built, they can then start sending out their scouting ornithopters to scout the deep desert, to scan the deep desert, to figure out where are the dungeons this week, where are the POIs this week. The big POI is going to be the control points. Where are the control points this week that we can claim if we're going to be doing PvP? Spice blows are easy because spice blows you're going to see happen. Those are big visual explosions. But everything else related to the deep desert is cycling on a weekly basis. So first the guilds need to set up a base. How long do you have to build it, i.e. generated for shields pick? It's a week-long cycle, JK, so the deep desert lasts a week. So all you need to do is have a shield that lasts for 1 week, because it's going to go away when it resets, because the Coriolis storm starts. So they just popped a survey beacon, which is then going to unlock the POIs for this quadrant. But you'll notice how there's all this fog of war. Those are other quadrants of the deep desert. And so your guild's objective is to get a base built, start sending out your scouting ornithopters to start scouting the quadrants to figure out where all the POIs are located, bring those back. They then have to make copies of those, drop those copies in the guild chests. Each copy is for an individual in the guild, so you need to make multiple copies for all the players in your guild to be able to have the maps with the POIs on them so you know where to go for the things you're going to be doing, the objectives you're going to be working on this week. And that refreshes every single week. All the POIs change, all the bases get wiped. So every single week, guilds have to come in and repeat this process to stay ahead of the storms. So there's never going to be a one guild has an advantage over another guild or players who rush have an advantage because everyone starts from scratch the same week. Everybody starts from scratch every single week. So even if you have players who are starting with Head Start access on the 5th, they might get to the deep desert 5 days earlier than someone else, but the next week, other players have caught up, and the week after that, other players have caught up. The only advantage you get by being the first to the deep desert is you get to experience the cycle first. That's the only thing that matters. Um, but anyway, I think they're flying back to the base right now. The reason you need a base is because you need a safe place for your ornithopters to be able to come back and recharge and have a place because you're going out and you're harvesting resources, right? You need guild chests to be able to place. So now we see another player taking off on an ornithopter. Like, this is that base that everyone was building together. Um, so the bases are set up so that you've got water purifications and cisterns in place. You have storage chests for resources. You have charging stations and places to recharge the batteries for your ornithopters. And then for the guilds who are going to be doing the spice blows and stuff, you'll also be working on the large ornithopters. And in a perfect world, you'll have blueprints for all of those things. So you'll not only have a blueprint for your base, you're also going to have a blueprint. By the way, I think they're about to trade one of the survey maps here with the other player. Yep, they're trading one of the survey maps with that other player so that that player can then see the POIs that the first player unlocked, and then they will know, oh, okay, this is where we're going to. This is where the dungeon is. This is where this trade point is, etc. Anyway, so not only do you have blueprints for buildings, you also have blueprints for the ornithopters, for the sand crawlers. Not they're called sand crawlers. The sand buggies. I think they're called buggies. And then, oh, they might be about to do one for a transport ornithopter here. Yeah, carrier ornithopter chassis. Look at all those parts on the bottom of the screen right there. So you can, he's building it piece by piece right now, but you can have a blueprint of this that you can just drop, and then everybody in the guild can contribute to the blueprint for that ornithopter the same as they can for the building. But yes, you do have to have materials either on your person or in a storage chest to be able to take advantage of mass contributing to. It's kind of like Grounded. Grounded does it that way, where you place a hologram first, and then everyone who's in your group can see the hologram, and then somebody just runs up to it, and if they've got the materials, they can build the hologram, and that's the way it is here. But you'll notice at the beginning, if I go back to that really quick, the one player who was outside flying around, like he wasn't seeing the green. He's just seeing the building being built. And the reason for that is because he may not, he's in an ornithopter, so he's not in build mode. So you have to be in build mode to be able to see this. But if you're on the outside, you're just going to see that structure being built in real time in front of you. And you can see all the other ornithopters. Look like there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 ornithopters here. So there's at least 6 other players who are contributing to this build and running around and getting this up and going. So, yeah. And how long this takes just depends on, do you have all the resources together for your blueprint? How many players do you have contributing to the blueprint? But theoretically, you can get another base up and running in a matter of minutes as long as you have the players and the resources on hand. And that's where the guilds and organization comes into play with the end game of Dune Awakening, is that if you're going to be doing this part of the game, it's going to be very beneficial to be a part of a structured environment because building a structure like this is not something that a single player is going to be able to do effectively. Um, if you try to blueprint your main base and it took you, you know, 3 months to build your main base, imagine how much time it's going to take you to get all the resources together to put a blueprint of this size together. This is a team effort right here. So this is, this is where, and this has nothing to do. By the way, this right here, this is the other thing that I want to come back to. There's so many players who are afraid of the deep desert and who think that it's, oh, this PvP gank fest. Dude, this has nothing to do with PvP. So the best guilds on the server are not going to be made up of PvP players. The best guilds on the server are going to have a core of people who only give a shit about crafting and harvesting. Because you're going to have to do a shitload of crafting and harvesting to be able to do this every single week. So the whole idea of like, oh, I'm going to get ganked. No, you're not. People are too busy to gank you. And once they get their structures built, they have objectives because of the Landsraad. Maybe they're going to go after a control point, or maybe they're going after a spice blow, right? But the reality is this right here takes a huge amount of coordination, discipline, and time commitment to be able to get your resources together every single week to then build this structure every single week. And not only that, but then to repeat that. So your objectives are not to be killing other players and ganking, although I guarantee you those players will exist because some players just like to be assholes. The vast majority of people who are in the deep desert are on a mission-based series of objectives. Get a base built, get your ornithopters sent out, figure out where the resources are, and then rush to be the first to claim those resources or to claim the control points. And the other thing about the control points, if you're going to go claim a control point, if you want to hold that control point for the whole week, you have to build a base to defend the control point. So not only are you building your forward operating base, you're also then needing to have another blueprint that you can then drop on top of the control point to build your defense base around the control point to defend the control point for the entirety of that week. Again, huge amount of time required to get the resources together to build that second base. What are those players going to be doing in between the deep desert runs? Getting the resources together. Who's going to be doing the resource gathering? Players in the guild. What are some players in the guild going to be doing? Defending the base. What are other players in the guild going to be doing? Doing spice blows. What are other people in the guild going to be doing? Scouting. What are other people going to be doing? Harvesting. What are other going to be people doing? Building. So you need a coordinated effort of many types of players in these guilds if you want to be successful at the Landsraad and the end game of Dune Awakening. And it all starts with blueprints and resource gathering and harvesting and crafting to get those buildings in place as quickly as possible every single week. It's a pretty ingenious idea in terms of what they have set up here because it has nothing to do with your traditional PvP game where it's like go into the end of the zone, go into the end zone and like slaughter each other, capture the flag, everybody, last man standing. It's none of that shit. It's here's the Landsraad. Here's all these objectives. Do they have a Landsraad? Here, right here. Where did it go? I just saw it. Ah! They showed the panel somewhere in here, and oh, there it is, right there. So these are the objectives every single week, and these change. He said there's 400 objectives that change every single week. So this is what the guilds are interested in, not killing other players. Like, the vast majority of these objectives have nothing to do with PvP. It's like, build a bunch of sandcrawlers and deliver them. Build a bunch of ornithopters, deliver them. Maybe one of these is hold a control point. Maybe one of these is a spice blow. But the rest are like crafting and harvesting objectives. Players aren't going to be out there like, yes, there will be griefers, but the vast majority of players who are interested in the Landsraad and who are going to the deep desert because of the Landsraad are going to be focused on building and harvesting and doing the objectives. So, anyway, that's a quick overview of the blueprints. That's not even a quick one. That was a little lengthy, but you guys get what I mean. Anyway, a little bit of Dune Awakening with Hogwarts Legacy music in the background.